My wife and I have decent incomes. In fact, combined it's more than enough to live comfortably, but last month we asked ourselves a question that changed everything. Could we live off just one income? Because someday soon we want more kids, and when that happens, we don't want to miss it. So we wanted to test it now while we still have the choice. We cut $2,000 overnight, dropped down to just the essentials, and rebuilt our entire system to prepare for the future. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly what we did and how it's helping us move closer to financial freedom than ever before. So maybe you can do the same thing if you want to. And if you like videos on personal finance, minimalism, things of that nature, be sure to hit subscribe and let's get into it. Oh, it is. Okay. When we first got married in 2020, our income was fairly modest. I remember getting the call from my manager offering me the job for a junior data analyst at $64,000 a year. And I swear to you, I thought I was the richest person in the world. I remember the street I was driving on too. I was so excited that he called me and he offered that much money. Looking back, I probably should have negotiated, but honestly, I was way too hyped to even get an offer at this point because up until then, I was kind of struggling to find out what I was going to do next with my life. And so this was just an amazing opportunity for me. And my wife, on the other hand, she was working at our small local church, making something like 10 or 11 bucks an hour. I don't remember exactly what it was, but let's just call it $22,000 a year to be safe. So combined, we were making about $86,000 as a couple. Again, that's not terrible, especially for a 20-year-old and a 24-year-old. We could probably even make that work today. We also lived in a very small apartment. It was 540 square feet. It didn't have a table or anything like that, so we had to eat at our coffee table or at the very, very tiny bar that we had. And we drove two pretty humble vehicles. So I had a 2001 Toyota Tundra where the driver's side door didn't even open, so I had to crawl across from the passenger side. I don't miss that at all. And my wife drove a 2006 Nissan Altima. Both of these cars had like 150, 160,000 plus miles on them. So they were very used, but the best part is we didn't have a loan on them. We didn't owe anything, and so we weren't paying monthly payments to a bank or a car dealership, which is amazing. We didn't have any debt. And the best part about having no debt is that you can just build up from there. Right before our wedding, I made sure to pay off all of my student loans and my truck that I had left to pay off. And she had already paid off her car. So we started at ground zero, which isn't the best place in the world to start, but it is really amazing to start there because you have nowhere to go but up, unless you make bad decisions, obviously, but we weren't going to do that. We were just very grateful to be able to start with a clean slate and get to the fun part immediately, which is saving and investing. This was also about the time that we started using budgeting apps to help us track our expenses. So we used what was Mint at the time. I think Intuit made it. They no longer have it, which is a huge bummer. The next best thing I've found is Empower, simply because you can budget with it and it tracks your net worth, which in my opinion, tracking your net worth is one of the most important metrics that you can track if you are focused on building your wealth, because it's effectively your scorecard for building wealth. You get to see the line go up and to the right over time, and that very clearly tells you if you're making good financial decisions or bad ones. It's kind of like stepping on the scale every day if you want to lose weight. That's one of the best ways to do it because it keeps those things top of mind every single day. And the reason that we were so focused on tracking our money and expenses and our net worth and all that is because we view the end goal with money as freedom. And the best quote that I can think of this is from Naval, where he says, "The reason to win the game is to be free of it." And that's kind of how I feel about budgeting and personal finance. The reason we're so strict and focused on it now is so that we can be free of that later on and just enjoy the rest of our lives once we've built up enough wealth that can make money for us without having to do anything. That way we can spend more time with our kids and family and things that we really enjoy versus being stressed about working a job that we don't necessarily want to work and constantly worried about paying bills or paying for a new AC unit, which is going to cost $15,000. Anyway, fast forward to 2023. This is when I got the promotion that I had been waiting for the past couple years. Leading up to this, I got my master's degree in data analytics so that I could get a promotion at my work. I was able to save up and pay cash for that degree along the way. And then when I got promoted, I got a basically $21,000 raise, which covered almost all my master's degree in a single year, which is pretty cool. At the same time, my wife went from working at church to retail to the same company that I worked at. And so we both got a really big jump in income, which is huge, but it didn't come without its downfalls. This is exactly where our spending began to increase pretty dramatically. We had, I believe, a $45,000 spend month March of the following year, which is more money than I can possibly comprehend spending in a single month. Just absolutely insane. Don't buy a house. They're so expensive. We spent $5,000 on landscaping to put in grass, concrete, sprinkler system, rocks, everything to get a halfway decent backyard, because when we bought our house, it was just dirt back there. It sucked and we didn't like looking at it. And then we bought a small SUV because we knew that we had a kid on the way and we couldn't just drive my truck around. We needed more of a family vehicle. And so we bought the most reliable one that we could find for a really good price for the amount of miles on it. So we bought a 2018 RAV4. It was $25,000 and it only had about 20,000 miles on it. So 6 years old, pretty much new, very, very new for us, and it served its job. On top of that, we had medical bills, pregnancy appointments, my wife's birthday that month. It was just everything everywhere all at once that month, and it was crazy. I won't forget that, but I'm glad it's gone. $45,000. I want to cry. Anyway, that was the highest month by far that we've ever had in history of our lives, but here's what our average monthly spend looked like by year since 2020. So it started at $3,800 a month, then it went to $4,100, $4,200, 2023 was $5,400, 2024 it jumped up to $7,800 per month on average, and that average does not include all of the giant purchases that year. So we just straight up were spending a lot more money than we should have. And this year we've spent a little bit less, $7,500 on average for the first half of the year, which I know is way too much money, but to be honest, having an expensive house with a high interest rate doesn't really help that either. So that's why in June we asked ourselves, could we live off just one income? What would that look like? What would we have to sacrifice? We challenged ourselves to drop from $7,500 a month down to $5,600 a month, which is pretty much the bare necessities that we need in order to live. And again, almost half of that is our mortgage. The nice thing about it now though, while we have two incomes, is that that's only 53% of our income. And if you're doing the math, that means we get to save and invest 47% of what we earn for the time being. It's not gonna last very long. So we're taking full advantage of it right now while we have the chance before we go down to a lot less income. And all this started by looking at some data in Excel, seeing what we were spending, and then I wanted to make a really nice monthly budget template so that we can track all of this stuff manually, because I think that gets us back to being a little bit more disciplined with what we're spending, and it keeps our finances top of mind. So I created this monthly template so that you can just input your transactions in whatever month that you're in, and then it gives you a summary for that month, and then there's also an annual summary tab too, which I find really helpful. This thing takes 10 minutes a week to update, if that long, and it's pretty much changed everything for us in terms of our budget. And then I also thought, if this is gonna be useful, I might as well make it nice looking and give it to you if you'd like. So I'll leave a link in the description to access this budget template. I don't know if I'm gonna charge for it yet or not. It's been free for a really long time and not many people have used it or downloaded it. So I'm wondering if I charge for it, even something like $5 or $10, if people will value it more simply because they've spent money on it. I've never sold a digital product before. I have no idea how this stuff works. And I don't know if I'm gonna do it by the time this video is uploaded. So check out the link below. It's either gonna be free or it's gonna be a few dollars to get. Either way, if you wanna get it, that's where it is. But the point of this whole video is that we went from being disciplined, we got a little bit lazy on our expenses, and now we're really cutting back and we're dialing it in, and I'm using this budget template to help me do that. So check that out below if you want, or don't. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. But what will hurt my feelings is if you don't click on this video next, because then we don't get to hang out today anymore. So I'll see you there, hopefully. Peace. Is it recording? Oh, it is. Okay. Whoops. One view. That's a good start. There we go.